So before that, right, Ruji, let me give you some interesting stats, right? AB InBev is a 54 billion revenue company. Our annual VIC cost, variable industrial cost, which means all the raw material that we buy, that's 25 billion. Our logistics cost itself is like 5 billion. Any given point of time, we carry stock worth 5 billion, right? Our out of stock is worth 1.7 billion, which means that we are not able to produce enough to sell an additional 1.7 billion just because of the constraints with production. And our obsolescence is pretty much like 100 million, which means that we are every year throwing out beer worth 100 million because it reached the end of life cycle and we couldn't take it to the customer, right? So this entire space is managed by supply chain, right? Supply chain is nothing but you're starting with your procurement, right? Then with suppliers and manufacturing, and then logistics, which takes to the end customer, right? So in the interest of time, let me give you some examples, right, on how we are transforming is all these three spaces, right, which is basically it starts everything with procuring, right? So if you can procure at the right cost, that makes a big difference, right? It can effectively reduce the cost of production if you can procure at the right price. So think about it. We hedge a lot of these commodities. So in a beer market, right, our biggest commodities are corn, rice, aluminum, right, barley, right, diesel. So there are a lot of commodities that we hedge, right? And if we can use a lot of science, in identifying the price forecast for all these products for the next 6 months, next 1 year, next 2 years, which is not an easy task, right? But if you can do that with good perfection, we can be very bullish with your hedging strategy, right? You can hedge in such a way that you end up buying things at a better rate. And that's exactly what we are doing with all the commodities. What we are doing now is we are doing the commodity price forecasting, which allows us to forecast the price of all these basic commodities in different markets. We buy from different markets across the globe. It's a global company, right? We buy this products from different parts of the raw materials from different parts of the world. For every market, we are trying to understand how the cost is going to move up and down over the next 2 years, next 3 years.
Right.
And we are building our entire hedging strategy again. Hedging again, if you think about it, we have a lot of econometric models that's used for hedging, right? But what we are replacing them is very advanced AI-based models, which uses pretty much like 1,000 variables to actually tell how to hedge if you have the right price forecast for the next few years. And that's making a huge impact on our procurement. Second thing, what we are doing is that we are moving away from conventional procurement to auction-based procurement, which means that we have something called an auction platform where players from different parts of the world can bid for the same offering, right? And what we are doing is we are building a platform, a solution called e-auction, which is again an AI-enabled solution that helps us to get the best out of all these providers who are bidding on that platform, right?
Yeah.
Again, that's making a huge impact. That's making a huge impact in our company, right? The fact that we are moving away from traditional way of procuring to a platform-based procurement, that's making a huge difference, right? So in the interest of time, let me talk 2 examples in procurement, right? Then let's talk about the manufacturing, which is nothing but breweries. Like I said, we are not able to produce at least 1.7. If we can produce more, we can take our sales by another 1.7 billion. Today, we are not able to do it because with the current constraints of capex and all of that, we are not in a place to exponentially increase the number of breweries across the globe. There's an opportunity for us to improve the production of the breweries. So there's a metric called GLY, gross layout yield, right? That actually tells how effective your breweries are. Currently, our breweries stays in the range of 70 to 80%, which means that there's still an opportunity to improve our GLY by another few percentages. And every 1% improve in GLY means, I cannot disclose the numbers, but it's millions and millions, hundreds of millions of dollars in additional production capacity for the brewery. But again, it's complex. Like think about a brewery process, from packaging to the raw materials to the planning at different phases. You should be able to create an AI model that will optimize the entire chain, the entire process in such a way that it finally improves the GLY. And then we call it, the performance management systems, right? This is exactly we are doing in breweries. We are building very advanced AI solutions to ensure that ensure that the GLY is improved and we are able to produce more and sell more, right? Another example is that we have a lot of quality checks, and it's all done by broom masters. And that's a time-consuming process, and that's prone to error also. I'm not saying it's too prone to error, but still we make a lot of mistakes and we lose a lot of beer. We are building a solution that, AI solution that will actually quality check real time or near real time, right? At every given point in time, we know how the quality is improving, or how it's performing against the fermentation process, basically, right? Because beer is a fermented product. It takes anywhere between 1 day to 3 or 4 days to ferment the entire, to close the entire process. So building a lot of AI there. Then it comes to final part, which is taking it to the customers, right? Again, a lot of examples. How will you optimize your deployment and redeployment, right? How can you do optimization on your deployment and redeployment that reduces your auto stocks and your availability and your obsolescence, right? That's great, one example. Another example is we are going with the concept of flexible delivery, which means that if the customers are open, we will give them the best windows for delivery, and we give them a better rate of delivery. And that works equally good for both of us. It's good for us because we know that based on the AI solutions that we're building, what is the best window of delivery for different customers in different parts of the world, based on, again, hundreds and hundreds of variables, right? It's good for the end consumer because he's also getting the product for cheap, right? So this is how we are actually transforming the entire space of supply chain to ensure that we are producing more, we are procuring it at a lower cost, and our cost on transport is reduced, and our cost to serve the customer is also reduced.